Hey, what's up, guys? It is me, Chachionics, with another video. As you can tell, I got a haircut, got a little bit of a shave. I mean, I think last video was clean shaven too, but the big change is that I got a haircut. But this video is not about my haircut, and it's not about me being clean shaven. This video is going to be about the fights that are going to happen tomorrow. UFC Vegas 50, UFC Fight Night. I have no idea what number. I should have looked into that before I made this. But this video should not be too long. I looked into the details of the fights. As you can tell, I'm also making this the day before the fight. It is currently 7:51 p.m. It is March 11th, 2022. So, yeah, 7:51 p.m. and making it the day before the fights. Last week I didn't do so bad. I got my 10 wins, which was awesome. There were actually 13 fights. I said there were 14, but there were 13. But I will say that for sure for tomorrow, there are 14 fights. So before I get into it, I'm going to preface it like always. I make these, and I'm more so saying it for myself than anything else. I make these predictions for the fun of it. Now, of course, I want to do well. I don't want to go winless or whatever, right? I want to do well and all this stuff. But again, this is all in good fun. But if there is a week that I can get 10 wins, just like last week, since there were a good amount of fights, this week is the same case. So there are 14 fights. Tomorrow, the fights are in, the UFC Apex in Las Vegas, Nevada, in the United States. The prelims will begin at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and the main card will begin at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time tomorrow, March 12th, Saturday. So these fights will be on ESPN Plus, both the prelims and the main card. So I did look into it, and it's every fighter on the card made weight, which is absolutely fantastic. So there's going to be no cheating or whatever. So this is UFC Vegas 50. It will be headlined. It will be headlined by a UFC a light heavyweight bout at 205 pounds between Thiago Santos and Magomed Ankalaev. The number 5. Thiago Santos is the number 5 light heavyweight in the UFC, and Magomed Ankalaev is the number 6 light heavyweight. So I took a while to make these predictions because there were some fighters that I was familiar with, some that I wasn't familiar with, some that were close. That was like, oh, I have no idea. And then there were some that, it was like, oh, I know these guys. I have no idea though. This is close. So there were some that I was definitely sure about. I'll give you 2 examples. Actually, I'll give those 2 examples after I make my predictions. So let's get into the predictions. Let's do the overview, then let me give the predictions. The prelims at 1 p.m. It will be kicked off by Tafon Chukwi versus Azamat Murzakanov. Then it will that'll be a light heavyweight bout at 205 pounds between Tafon Chukwi versus Azamat Murzakanov. Then we'll have a bantamweight bout at 135 pounds between Chris Moutinho versus Guido Canetti. Then we have a middleweight bout at 185 pounds between Dalcha Lungiambula versus Cody Brundage. Then we'll have a women's flyweight bout at 125 pounds between Sabina Mazo versus Miranda Maverick. Then we'll have a featherweight bout at 145 pounds between Damon Jackson versus Kamala Kirk. Then we'll have a bantamweight bout at 135 pounds between Chevin Jones versus Javid Basharat. Then we'll have a women's flyweight bout at 125 pounds between JJ Aldrich versus Jillian Robertson. And then the prelims will be the featured prelim bout. The end of the prelims will be a welterweight bout between Matthew Semmelsberger versus AJ Fletcher. Then we move on to the main card. It will be kicked off between Alex Pereira, a 185 bout, a middleweight bout at 185 pounds between Alex Pereira versus Bruno Silva. Then we'll have a lightweight bout at 155 pounds between Drew Dober versus Terrence McKinney. Then we'll have a light heavyweight bout at 205 pounds between Khalil Roundtree versus Carl Robertson. Then we'll have a featherweight bout at 145 pounds between Sadiq Youssef versus Alex Caceres. Then we'll have a bantamweight bout at 135 pounds. This will be the co-main event at 135 pounds between Marlon Moraes versus Song Yadong. And then the headliner light heavyweight bout between Thiago Santos versus Magomed Ankalaev. So I already have my picks. I want to get this out here, and then we will we'll go from there. So I got Magomed. I actually went from the bottom. Okay, so you already know who I'm picking in the headliner. Whoops. I was reading it from the bottom. So we'll go, okay, my bad. I didn't read it properly. I'm looking at my list on notes. So you already know who I'm picking in the headliner. Who cares? Okay, so in the prelims, I got Azamat Murzakanov over Tefan Chukwi. I got Chris Moutinho over Guido Canetti. I got Dacha Langyambula over Cody Brundage. I got Miranda Maverick over Sabina Mazo. I got Kamala Kirk over Damon Jackson. I got Javid Basharat over Trevin Jones. I got JJ Aldrich over Jillian Robertson. And then at the end of the prelims, the feature of the prelims, I got AJ Fletcher over Matthew Semmelsberger. In the main card, I got Bruno Silva over Alex Bejeda. I got Terrence McKinney over Drew Dober. I got Khalil Roundtree Jr. over Carl Robertson. I got Sadiq Youssef over Alex Caceres. I got Song Yadong over Marlon Moraes. And I got, as you know, Magomed Ankalaev over Thiago Santos. So, I don't know why for some reason in my mind, I feel like I didn't give the overview of the fights, but I did. It's a good amount of fights, so a little short term, I guess. A little short term on my part. So the two fights that I was sure about was Magomed Ankalaev over Thiago Santos and Terrence McKinney over Drew Dober. Drew Dober hasn't looked the greatest, to be honest. I mean, his last fight, Drew Dober, was against it was against Brad Riddell. He lost both. He's on a 2-fight losing streak. I mean, he hasn't looked the greatest. And Terrence McKinney has looked absolutely phenomenal, absolutely fantastic. So there's no way in my mind that I can't pick Terrence McKinney. And then Magomed Ankalaev. I'm picking Magomed Ankalaev. Here's the situation and the circumstance, right? If this was Thiago Santos before he fought John Jones, I would pick Thiago Santos. Because Thiago Santos, before he fought John Jones, he was very explosive. He had very powerful kicks. He's got punch. He had very lethal punching power. I'm not saying he does it now, but ever since he fought John Jones, arguably he won that fight against John Jones. In that fight, he basically blew out everything in both of his legs. And since he came back, he has just not looked the same. And even he went on a 3-fight losing streak, including that loss against John Jones. He lost against Glover Teixeira, and he lost against Alexander Rakic. So he beat Johnny Walker, but it wasn't impressive. If I can recall correctly, it wasn't impressive. Sure, it's Johnny Walker, a very explosive guy, all that stuff. But I mean, nowadays, everybody's beating Johnny Walker. So, I don't know. Maheta is not the same guy who he used to be. If he can prove me wrong and show me the guy who he was before he fought John Jones tomorrow against Magomed Ankalaev, that would be absolutely fantastic. But I don't think that's going to happen. Magomed Ankalaev, I want to say he's well-rounded. He's got a good amount of... Actually, all of his wins... Well, he's got a mix of KO wins and decisions. You think, Magomed is from Dagestan, Makhachkala, Russia, and those guys, they know how to wrestle. They know how to... Their ground game is absolutely fantastic. So you'd think... Oh, whoops, sorry, I had a notification on my phone, my bad. So I wanted to swipe it away because I didn't want it to be on my phone. So Magomed Ankalaev, I don't know. I just think that overall, and especially the win streak that he's on. And he beat a guy. He's beaten good guys. He's beaten one of the guys. Well, I don't know this guy, but he's beaten one of the guys who's fighting tomorrow, who I picked, Ankalaev. He beat Ian Cutelaba twice. He beat Nikita Krylov, and he beat Volkan Oezdemir. So, I mean, I'm looking at the weigh-ins, and I'm seeing some comments, and they're like, oh, this is an easy bet the house on Santos. But I don't see how Santos is going to win tomorrow. I don't. So I mainly talked about Thiago and Magomed because that is the main event. This video is actually turning out longer than I thought. My bad, guys. But in overview, the people who I'm picking tomorrow: Azamat Murzakanov, Chris Moutinho, Dachalan Yambula, Miranda Maverick, Kamala Kirk, Javid Basharat, JJ Aldrich, AJ Fletcher, Bruno Silva, Terrence McKinney, Khalil Roundtree, Sadiq Youssef, Song Yudong, Magomed Ankalaev. So if I can go at least 7-7 tomorrow, 7-7, or 8-6, have a winning record, 8-6, that would be fantastic. Tomorrow is also a good opportunity for me to get 10 wins. My mom is home. That's why you heard the doorbell. If I can get 10 wins tomorrow, that would be fantastic. So I'm going to end the video here because my mom is home. Those are my picks for tomorrow. Let's see how I do. Peace out, guys.